Welcome back to Sustained Overruled. I am the anonymous attorney. All right, so we are going to hold on. Let me share my screen. I'm at the airport. I cannot act up, y'all, even though I really want to. But all right, let's get into this. The reason why, obviously, we've not really gotten much done because we tend to be very chaotic. So, the reason why I am watching parts of closings is because I still did not get to the corroboration. I want to see if Woody and Lil D's, are we going to call it confession, snitching, whatever it is, I want to see if the evidence they provided was in fact corroborated. So let's get right into it. Ho- Hopefully my audio is good. I don't know. I have like, let me just get into it.
And that's what part of
Over
the crime
explaining.
is. Every person involved in the murder is just as responsible as the person who pulls the trigger, because you all act together. Now, we have in Chanel Drinks an individual that you kept hearing about,
All right.
DeMarco Boyer. And someone brought up that DeMarco Boyer isn't on the inside. Well, this is the law that's going to be instructed to you.
All right.
Any party to a crime who did not directly commit the crime may be prosecuted for commission of a crime upon proof that the crime was committed and that that person was a party to it, even though the person alleged to have directly committed the crime has not been prosecuted or convicted, has been convicted of a different crime or degree of crime.
What happened to Boyer?
Is not immutable to justice or has been acquitted. Mr. Boyer's dates for another day. We're not going to talk about Mr. Boyer today.
All right.
Today, we're going to talk about Stillwell and the Sun. You can look at presence, companionship, and conduct before and after the commission of the alleged offense. And those things may be considered by you in determining whether or not the circumstances, if any, give rise to an inference or the existence of a conspiracy. So what does that mean? You can look at what they did before, what they did during, and what they did after. And for both of those murders, we're going to talk about conduct before, conduct during.
I'm gonna mute my mic because I'm about to eat.
So let's talk about Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr. You heard from his mother, you heard from his father. He's from Atlanta, he had kids, he was in a gang, but he had started to kind of try to get into the music business. And he had started doing that by one, he had a relationship with Rich Homie Quan. Two, he had just put Lucci on, YSL Lucci. So he was trying to kind of turn that mark and do something different. What did you also hear about Donovan Thomas? That on the night that he was gunned down, that he was at the barbershop, getting his hair cut, his brother was there, and what were they getting ready to do? Meet with their daddy and go watch the football game. I think it was the Ravens and the Patriots. Don't quote me if I'm wrong, but I think it was the Ravens and the Patriots. And that's what he was getting ready to do. Spend time with his father.
So everybody was trying to do music, I guess.
Brother, but he also has a brother, which they Kelvin Watts, who's super close to him, that they are brothers, but not biologically, but they share a brother, so they call themselves brothers.
All right.
He said he was trying to get in the music industry. That's him with Watts and Lucci. That's him with Rich Homie Quan. And so much so that after his death, Lucci had a whole album dedicated to him, Long Live Nuts. And we know that Peanuts was his name. Now let's go over some timelines because I think oftentimes we focus just on the murder.
I'm gonna get to Woody though.
To that day, that is very important for you to consider as you continue to live. So we know September 2014, Rich Homie Quan's father's barbershop shooting. Now, Mr. Copeland, we're going to talk about Mr. Copeland, told you on the stand here that him and Threat were responsible.
Okay.
YSL members responsible for shooting up the shots of a YSL gang. Or shoot the father of a gang associate. Then, if you can recall, in all these different interviews, majority of them, Mr. Copeland talked about this.
Hopefully I'm not smacking, but if I am, I'm really hungry.
He talked about it in mostly every interview when he kept on telling them about the history of him and Kelvin. And he talked about the fact that Kelvin had shot up the gambling house and shot up Doug's car. Then he talks about in multiple interviews of meeting at Cascade Stadium, in which him and Kel were there. Kel wanted Copeland to call Thug so they can maybe squash whatever issue that they had. And that when Thug, Mr. Williams, got on the phone, he asked Kelvin, "Are you gonna pay for my car window?"
Mm.
Kelvin said no. They got into it, and it kept on going. You heard about the January 6th fight at Club Crucial,
All right.
in which Copeland was jumped at the club. And then upon leaving the club, there was a fight with Bloody J. That some YSL members jumped on Bloody J. And that Kendrick and Arnold, they were arrested when they left the club. And that's going to be important because when we talk about phone records, while we don't have some phone records from Mr. Kendrick. Then we have the January 8th shooting at TID Studio, where Rich Homie Quan's purple truck was shot up. There was some alluding to the fact that Copeland did that shooting. I think Quindarius Zachary may have said in his interview that Copeland did that shooting. Then there was that blood meeting the night before the murder. Now, I know that Mr. Sharp played for you the clip in which Copeland says that the blood meeting was about him. But remember, the blood meeting was also about Mr. Lewis.
All right.
And he said that in one of his interviews. That the blood meeting just wasn't about him, but it was about him, Copeland, and Mr. Lewis. Then,
Hey, Brooklyn. Good morning. You can feel free to join if you'd like to. Otherwise, otherwise you can just listen. I'm going. I mean, every night's chaotic, but I'm trying to go over the DA's closing again. I'm trying to determine if Woody's testimony or Woody's, I don't even know what to call it. I really don't know what to call it. I want to see if the information he provided to the officers or law enforcement was in fact corroborated, because that's going to play it's going to play a significant difference as far as the jury charge is concerned. When you say what are my thoughts about closing, what are you referring to? How the attorneys did, or is it something specific? And while you're at it, tell me what you thought as well.
on January 10th, you have the death or the murder of Mr. Jonathan Thomas at 330 McDaniel Street. Then,
Believe it or not, I have been up since last night, so I'm coming with low energy this morning because I did not get any sleep.
you have the retaliatory shootings begin immediately. See, the streets knew what it took the state and the government a long time to figure out. They went directly to who they thought killed Jonathan Thomas. They immediately
Who was
started
that?
shooting at Jeffrey Williams' family's house and Kenneth
Okay.
Copeland's family's house because they thought that both of them were in on it. Also, in the late morning hours, early on January 11th, Kenneth Copeland meets with the Atlanta Police Department and many of the YSL members, they flee to Miami.
Right?
You have more retaliatory shootings.
Who's talking?
Then in April, between April and May of 2015, you have the incident at the Dunbar Center where Copeland is found with that gun. They don't arrest him then. He calls Gaither. Gaither speaks to him. They let him go. But once they did more investigation, they got the video surveillance from the Dunbar Center. They arrest him on June 10th. And then that's when he does.
I don't know what kind of luck Woody has or what kind of in he has with Gaither, but I mean, I think it extends at this point. It really extends beyond the what is this, the police department, because obviously he's the one that ended up with immunity in this case.
The 9-hour interview that we'll discuss. In August of 2015 was Quindarius Zachary's interview. In September of 2015, Shannon becomes a target of 2 shootings. One
Okay,
at the
hold on.
store.
Okay, so this is all 2015. Okay.
The other one was Miss Tierra Jones. And
I actually want to take a closer look at that Tierra Jones case. I'll take a okay after this because I have about an hour and a half to go, so I'm still good on time. Bless you.
October 2015, arrest warrants are taken out for Garlington, Copeland, Sledge, and Stillwell. In November 2015, there was a preliminary
Okay.
hearing. The case was dismissed against Sledge. In
Mm-hmm.
2016, the case was dismissed against Garlington and Copeland, and
All
Stillwell
right.
received a bond. Between 2016 and 2018, there was some additional investigation and follow-up, and the indictment came in 2022. We're going to talk more about these dates, but I want to give everyone a general timeline.
All right.
As Mr. Agnes talked to you about earlier, you determine the
All right. Let's see. So Brooklyn says, I thought I thought the red suits are screaming. The red suits and screaming was theater. I don't think it will have an effect on the verdict. It was not needed and not relevant. Giving them 5 hours was too much. I mean, they do have. You have to understand that the prosecution has the burden of proof. In theory, I mean, Shard was brilliant. He was brilliant. I'm glad he got to display his talent. But in theory, Shard and Doug literally could have gone to court and not done a thing. They could have gone to court and not cross-examined. They could have gone to court and I don't know, pull out coloring books and they could have been out there listening to drill music. I mean, a court probably would not permit that. But the prosecution bears the burden of proof, and 5 hours, it's their burden. So I understand why they got 5 hours to close. And then as far as my general thoughts, so yesterday was the most that I actually watched of the state's closing. Again, I watched Shard, brilliant as always. Um, I mean, he had okay. I don't have my legal pad here. I should have brought the pad. I don't have my legal pad here. But overall, I thought he did a fantastic job. There were two. There were two instances when I actually disagreed with him. Not that it makes a difference, but again, the muzzle flash. I strongly disagree with his theory, um, because here's why I disagree with the theory. Um, Shard is claiming that, or at least his argument was that SB could not have done the what am I gonna call it? Could not have done the Merc. And the reason he says that is because there is no visible muzzle flash from his vehicle, right? And then a few seconds later, or at least his theory was that it is the fourth vehicle. Is that the fourth? Yeah, the fourth vehicle that appeared on the scene after SB had already left that did the Merc. But the problem is, under that theory, it still does not make sense because you see no muzzle flash. So I thought that was it's good as far as it's a good. I mean, the man is brilliant. It's a good argument. He's definitely a great legal mind. So it's a good argument as far as creating reasonable doubt. But again, it it just it's not a strong argument. Let me put it that way. It's not a strong argument because the criticisms he has of the prosecution's case, or at least the lack of a visible muzzle flash, can also be said to the vehicle that he's pointing to. And then, as far as Doug, okay, uh, definitely, I think that Doug did better in closing than he did throughout the entire trial, but not that it helps him because throughout cross examination, Short has maintained his theories, the theory about, or the theme about what's his client SB wanting to be a rapper. He had a theme about how SB was always forthcoming. He's honest. He's this. He's that. Whereas with Doug, the only thing he keeps talking about or kept talking about was the watch. Like that was his focus. His focus was on the watch. And I understand. I mean, to a certain extent, I believe that he was making a jury nullification argument, right? But I don't know. I just think he had a lot more to work with than this watch that he kept focusing on. And then as far as, again, last night is the most I have seen of the prosecution's case. I guess I have to go back and listen to Abate because from last night, if I remember correctly, Ellie said that after she listened to Abate, she kind of, this is me paraphrasing, okay? But from what I gleaned was that she got a little worried or thought that the prosecution was putting on a strong case. So I have to go back to Abate. But based on what I've seen from, um, man, I'm blanking. I did not get any sleep, you guys. But I'll get to sleep. I have a, what is this? I have a connecting flight, so I will get like 2 hours of sleep. But I'll be good. I'll be good. As far as Simone is concerned, I'm gonna go with Greg on this one because when I started reacting to the closing arguments, I obviously had not watched closings that day, but no, no, no. I watched defense closing. I did not watch prosecution's closing. But in the chat, Greg had mentioned that, or at least Greg thought that Simone was very solid, right? Let me take a look because last night I believe Ellie said if I go to Law and Crime, I am able to see the makeup of the jury. So let me take a look at that. Let me take a look at that. That's going to factor into what I don't think it's going to change. Okay, so here's the jury makeup. You obviously you have 12. You have to have 12. Um, so you have seven black women. You have two black men. You have two white women. You have one white man, and then you have six alternates. All right. These are. I mean, I've only been to Atlanta once, and it was a brief visit, so I don't really know much about the culture in Fulton County. But depending on age, some folks may, I'm just assuming that there's a possibility, some, I mean, a lot of, from the from what we've seen here, okay, at least in our chat and what we've seen on other chats, folks thought that she came on too strong. But I think I'm going to what is this, I'm going to disagree with that. I think she put on a brilliant case. I certainly did not want to see love up there. I did not want to see love up there. um I mean, after Abate spilled the tea, I wanted to see him close. I wanted to see him close just because we like chaos over here. And then again, obviously cannot judge Atkins because I did not watch the closing. But as far as what I have seen from Simone thus far, I think she did a brilliant job. I think she did a better job than any other DA they could have, or assistant DA they could have put up there. I like the fire. I like the excitement. I like the fact that, first of all, as I was taking notes during defense closing, I really wanted the DA's office to go up there and bless you, mama. I wanted them to get up there and apologize to the jurors for having this case drag on for a year. And I thought she did that. I thought that Simone did that well because she did not exactly, she apologized, but it was an indirect apology, which I liked. And I like the fact that she addressed she addressed the red suits. What I've seen though, because I've mentioned a few times on here that every once in a while I do tune into Judge McBurney's courtroom, and there was a trial. Let me find it. It was a very interesting trial. It was an interesting trial. Obviously, it was a murder, so you know, terrible circumstances or terrible facts. The victim was a minor. But let me find here. Let me find the actual trial because I think his name was Michael or something. Michael. Okay, Judge McBurney. Let me find it. Calendar call. That's not it. Reynolds. It was the Reynolds trial. And here's the thing with Judge trial or courtroom. It cannot be broadcasted. It's one of those. They have a rule against that, and I'm not trying to get in trouble with Fulton County, so I'm not going to share. I'm not going to share my screen, but I'm trying to find. Let me find the comment from. There was a comment in the chat. Hold on. Let me see. Was it? I think it was this day. Okay. So I'm going to share the link. I'm going to share the actual link to his courtroom, and then you can click on it. But you'll see the very first comment on that. Watch Judge McBurney if you have time. He is a brilliant judge, probably one of the best judges I've seen, and I've practiced before a lot of judges. I like his rulings. I mean, I don't always have to agree. Again, harsher sentences, that's not my thing, but he's a brilliant judge. And then the first comment you'll see on there is somebody saying that they love the comment about the color coordination. So that seems to be a theme or thing as far as what is this? Fulton County DA's office is concerned. It appears that the prosecutors actually do color coordinate and they wear the same suits. Because in this case, the DA, the assistant, I should start learning these people's names. But the assistant DA was a male and a female, and they literally coordinated. They went, I don't know where they went, but they went somewhere and they found matching suits in men and women's. Um, so as far as the color coordination, I'm like, whatever. I mostly wear black and gray, so and I hate bright colors. So that's but whatever. They that's what they wanted to wear. And then Brooklyn says, I don't think it will have an effect on the verdict. It was not needed and not relevant. Giving them five. Okay, I think I already read that. As far as whether it was needed or not, they're different. I understand what you're saying, but there are obviously different styles of doing this. And you obviously can criticize Simone as much as you want because I've criticized Doug as much as I want. Okay. All right. And then Brooklyn says, Short and Mac's career is good if it's absolutely win or lose. He zealously represented his client, and man, I adore Max Sharp. He did a fantastic job. And then you said, I don't think you picked up when he said it's David and Goliath, and that the state had all the resources and still messed up. Ordinarily, that's how it goes. The state does have a lot of resources. I used to be a prosecutor, so yeah. And then she has, and I mean, in this context, at least, I'm just speculating at this point, but I think that they retained, yeah, but I'm going back and forth because times have actually changed. There used to be a time when public defenders' offices did not have as many resources, but I think there's a shift in that. Um, because I was going to say at least he retained Max, but then again, I think a public defender's office that is well funded would have done as much of a good job, and they probably would have put on what is this would have put on a defense. Because in this case, I at least wanted, again, it's the state's burden, but I would have preferred to see Max. Definitely, Doug was not going to do it, but I would have preferred to see um, Max challenge a lot of the what is this? The GPS expert and the medical examiner as well. And by challenge, I mean I would have liked for him to actually bring on an expert. But if they don't have the money for that, then I see why they did not put anybody else on. Okay, Brooklyn says she has so much to lose. She has so much to lose. Her character is ruined. And don't forget, she's a lecturer in Emory. I don't think that makes a difference. You have what's a lady? I actually don't watch the show, but I'm aware of the what is it called? Married Housewives of Potomac or something along those lines. There's a lady on there that is a professor. I think she's a doctor, not a medical doctor, but I think she has a PhD. I think honestly, times have changed. Social media has changed everything, and not just that. Ratchet TV has changed a lot of things. So I do not see that blemishing her character or the way that her students would look at her. Um, I for sure think that, as considering that the DA has the burden after all the attacks that they had to endure from the defense attorneys, I don't think this was the moment for her to go in there and be coy or go in there and try and play it safe. So, you know, okay. And then you said changing the game plan last minute, that the guy was okay outside the car is a new theory. So I'll have to get back into that. I'll have to see exactly what it is that she said. But as far as the style, I really have no problem. I mean, I love a good laugh, okay, and I love to be entertained. And Simone thoroughly entertained me. I am very pleased with her presentation. So, and even before, let me see, how much time do I have left? I have about, I'm good on time. I'm like an hour 13. I'll have to find that timestamp again because I loved it. I love chaos. So that was fantastic. If you have any more questions, I mean, Brooklyn, you can get up here unless you're working, of course. If you're working and you are on somebody else's time, I understand why you don't want to do that. Okay, so this is really why I came on here. Okay, credibility. We've talked about this. Credibility has always been a big issue in this case, especially because I don't even want to say Woody flip flopped. I don't know what Woody did. I don't know if he got on this stand and got scared. I don't know. But I want to see how Simone explains or how she justifies the credibility of her witnesses.
credibility of the witnesses. And I can't remember if it was Mr. Shard or Mr. Watson who said it, but they are absolutely right.
Yeah.
We don't choose our witnesses.
Right.
The witnesses and our victims are chosen by the crimes that are committed. So when you do your gang murder and you brag to your gang member friends that you murdered someone, then the person I have to bring in here to tell you what happened is the gang member friend.
Yeah, I have my junior co-counsel next to me. Usually she's asleep. Usually she's asleep, but she's right next to me right now.
The gang member friend isn't going to want to tell you in front of them what they told the police.
And FYI, she has accompanied me to court before, at least when I was a public defender. She has accompanied me to court before, but she doesn't get to do that now. Sometimes she sits in an office.
So that's why I had to fight. Miss Love got to fight. We got to argue with them back and forth because now they had to come in here and confront the people that they snitched on
Right,
in front of them. So, and they know that.
right. I think that is a huge factor. I mean, obviously, I'm just getting into this, but as I have gone over this, I am inclined to believe, I still think Woody was snitching or telling the truth or, preserving himself. But all in all, I strongly believe that what he told law enforcement, even though he was in the, what is it, Fulton County Blues, I believe that was the truth. And on the stand, again, I've said it over and over again, I have never seen, okay, with the exception of, but this was not personally, this was on TV, with the exception of, what's the trial out of Memphis? The Young Dolph trial. With the exception of that trial, I have not seen a co-defendant get on the stand and basically tell all. I've not seen it in practice. And if we go back to the DA's or Love's opening statement, she was also very clear that they were not sure. I still don't see why they gave Woody. Anyways, they were not clear. They were not clear if these witnesses would get on the stand and actually, testify according to what the information that they provided to law enforcement. So yeah, let's see, what's Brooklyn saying? She's basically saying she's a victim of the bait, like Woody. I need you to elaborate.
They know that no, none of these witnesses want to come in here and say
Right,
what they told me.
right.
And they're begging on you to say, I don't know. I mean, he did swore oath in court.
Here's the thing, though. I have a question. Maybe if I remember, I'll ask Ellie this question tonight. If I don't ask her, if somebody could please remind me. What I'm curious, not even. I think the DA's strategy would have been better because if I recall, isn't it that Woody had made the statement prior to the indictment? I don't remember him providing any more information after the indictment came down. And the reason why I am saying that is because oftentimes it is easier for a prosecution to prove its case when defendants are pointing fingers at each other. And that's why I kept bringing up the fact that this trial probably, I mean, we would still probably be going through testimony right now. But this trial would have been significantly different had had Jeffrey still been on, had he still been a defendant in this case, because again, a lot of the blame, if you look at Kendrick's entire defense, is that an innocent bystander, as collateral damage, as this and that. So it would have been interesting to see that play out while Williams was still what was still on trial.
Or and said that he told the God's honest truth. Let's come and tell him God's honest truth. Maybe some of the stuff he told was truth. Here it is. Like he said, he's doing a little bit of truth sometimes. That's what he said, right? So he did that a little bit. And we'll talk about it.
All right.
What's going to be important are prior statements. It is important because you as a juror get to determine the witness credibility, right?
Have your drink.
And this may be affected by you comparing and contrasting the testimony to statement.
I have my headphones in, so my junior co-counsel is not hearing any of this, just so you know. I shield her very much.
Or testimony of that same witness before trial starts.
Wait, what did she say?
Whether there's a reasonable explanation for what's going to be important are prior statements. It is important because you as a juror get to determine the witness credibility, right?
Right.
And this may be affected by you comparing and contrasting the testimony to statements or testimony of that same witness before trial starts.
Mm-hmm.
You, the jury, can decide whether there's a reasonable explanation for any inconsistency in a witness's pre-trial statements or testimony when compared to that same trial testimony. And we're going to actually apply common sense and reason to decide what testimony you believe. So let's go through the evolution.
All right. That's crazy. Okay, that is an evolution though, because when Woody first got on that stand, that man wore a suit. Okay, I think it was a gray pinstripe. Nobody wears pinstripe anymore, but he wore a pinstripe suit, and I was like, okay, he looks like he's about to tell. He got on there, did whatever, and then later on, he showed up in t-shirts and all sorts of things. He definitely evolved. Brooklyn, I'll get to you now.
All right.
Okay, so currently I do civil, which is personal injury. Most of that is really car crash and workers' compensation. So I wish I still want to make a video. I think hopefully I can make a video. Can I make a video tonight? I can probably make a video tonight about what it is that I do.
January 11th. This is hours after the murder. His girlfriend's house just got shot up.
All right.
And they called him. Thorpe calls the girlfriend to kind of check in on see what's happening with their shooting, and they put Copeland on the phone. See, on January 11th, when he walks inside, he real strong YSL, right?
Right.
He's not trying to give up his friends. He want to let the police know, I didn't murder. Let me tell you something. I didn't murder Donald Thomas. I'm going to tell you at my girlfriend's house. I'm going to tell you I went to the green stove. I went to McDonald's. He's not going to give you too much information because here, he's trying to still protect his friends.
Right.
That's just common sense. The police don't really know what's going on yet. So when he first goes in, he's trying to protect his friends. But then we get January 28th.
Okay.
If y'all remember, y'all, this is after he gets out the shootout on the highway. See, this after he came from the little pool party, and he on his way home, and they shoot at him at the house.
That girl said little pool party.
And remember, in this interview, he talks about, I believe,
All right, Brooklyn. I have I have an addition for Simone. Okay, so if we go back, because I'm just thinking again, I'm thinking about the jury makeup. Let's go back. So the jury makeup is seven black women, two black men, two white women, one white man. Wait, is the white man is that juror 56? Is that him? Is that him? Okay. All right. I have ooh, hold on. He is much elderly. He's much elderly, so he's probably going to take charge. He's probably going to take charge with the exception of yeah, I'm looking at this makeup right now. He's probably going to make take charge unless he just really wants no involvement in this. And if he does take charge, he would have a lot of pull or sway. Okay, so the reason why I went back to the jury makeup is because when I broke down defense closing argument, it was very obvious that they were trying to relate to a black audience, a majority, a black jury. Okay, we can we can point this out. When it came to Shard, again, he had this spiel about memory, faint memory, selective amnesia, something along those lines, and what he was leading to, he was basically building up to Woody and Lil D's memory, right? The memory issues that they suddenly suffered when they got on the stand. But instead of just directly attacking their credibility or attacking their memory, he actually went through this spiel about him remembering something to do with rockets or rockets or something, rockets, spaceships, something along those lines. And then he talked about how he remembered something about, was it football, something along those lines. And then he eventually led up to his memory of where he was, his wife and the like was talking to somebody else, and they were in the room, and he was talking about his memory, his recollection of when the first black president was. I don't know. I'm using this airport's Wi-Fi, so I don't know what happened to I don't know what happened to the signal. In any event, so what Short was getting at, he was not. This really had nothing to do with his memory, but him bringing up his recollection of where he was when Barack was elected. That was him trying to connect with a majority black jury. And again, so from that perspective, and if we talk about Doug, his whole thing was again jury. He made a jury nullification argument, and his whole thing was what was he saying? Basically, he was saying that the DA's office should not be allowed to do that to black folks. That was his um, argument, right? So I can understand why Simone came on in the manner that she came on. And that's because she too is trying to relate to a jury that is made up predominantly of black folks. So, I was just making that point, Brooklyn. And I'm at the airport. My stream cut. I don't know what's going on, but I'm back. So let me share my screen again. Let me share my screen again. Sorry for smacking y'all. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I still did not sleep. So all right, let's get in here. Let's see. Brooklyn says, I hate when they say woman or man. I would like to know about their education, who has a degree or education. I think eventually, I mean, they don't. The jury in this case, they don't have to speak out. They can pretty much, move on with their lives after this trial concludes. But I do not doubt that we are going to hear from a number of them. We are going to hear from a number of them. And whatever the verdict is, I would like to see like a documentary on Tubi or something. I'd interview them if I could interview them if they signed up for it. Yeah, we have an hour. We have an hour. We have an hour. Okay, we have an hour and 30 minutes. Just be patient, okay? Yeah. All right, we're just gonna be patient, okay?
And being upset with him because
Do you want to go walk around? All right.
he want to shoot at. So here, he's trying to tell them everything that YFN people are doing to him, but he's still not trying to give up his friends.
All right.
Because they his friends. But he's a little frustrated because everyone's blaming him for murdering Donovan Thomas, and everyone's shooting back in, shooting him, and he didn't do it. Then we get February 20th. Now this was the worst one because that's when he's trying to come out the house to take his baby to the hospital.
Let's see what's Greg saying. Greg says what they said in those interviews all those years ago. I think at most they were telling Greg, we are on the same wavelength. I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. And I don't know if you were here last night or not. I don't remember you popping up in the chat, but you were right. Simone, she did her thing. Brooklyn and I were debating or having a discussion about, her style of presentation of the closing. But I absolutely think that, she did her thing. It's I don't think any of the other assistant DAs could have done what she did. She was very engaging, and again, she's trying to relate to the folks that she was talking to, or maybe that's just who she is.
And they come down the street shooting at him. So now he's like, they are shooting at me, they're shooting at my baby and my girl. Look, this.
And then, Greg and Brooklyn, how long do you guys think the jury will take to deliberate? Or do you think it's just going to be a mistrial, or what's going on? Then Greg says, I missed last night, but we'll look after the stream. All right, thank you. I mean, we were clowning for the most part, but all the other folks were up here, so we get out of control and we get chaotic when all four of us are together.
This is too much. And he tells them about what happened. Again, this is the interview where he really didn't want to give up who shot at him. He knew who did it, but see that gang street code is he still didn't want to give.
And again, the reason why I'm trying to get the back end of this is because I want to see if Woody and Lil D's testimonies were corroborated or not. Because as co-defendants, in order for their testimonies to carry much weight, they have to be corroborated. There has to be independent evidence, basically, you know, checking out what it is that they said.
Give up the person who shot at him and his baby. And that's when Kirby was like, "You're not going to tell me who just shot at you with your baby."
Yeah, Greg, I thought she did a phenomenal job. I mean, we jumped around here and there. We jumped around. We obviously had to start with the giggles of the music and her dancing and the hand gestures. Uh, but other than that, I thought she did a fantastic job. Honestly, I'm gonna put her the way I'm rating them is Shard, obviously in a league of his own, followed by Hilton, followed by Doug. I did not watch Atkins, so I'm still to rank Atkins.
Then the next day was February 21st. They had arrested him for a violation of probation. He was upset because they arrested him on violation.
And what I was telling Brooklyn, I don't know if you're listening or not, but I'm probably repeating myself. But why? I mean, I've seen comments of folks criticizing the style with which she closed, but I think that, not even think, I believe, considering that she represents the DA's office, she represents the victims in this case, and the obviously, who's this? Shard attacked the DA's office. Doug attacked the DA's office. I do not think that, considering that they could go back with a rebuttal, I do not think that she should have gone in there as some coy, mute little, I don't know, uh, DA or whatever. I think she went in the right way. She went in with that fire, and I absolutely loved it. I don't think this was the time for her to, be shy. And no, that was not. This was not it.
Probation. And Gaither talks to him, one, about the shooting that had happened the day before, and trying to get more information about the murder, trying to figure out what is going on. What is going on with this back and forth? Because by this time, and ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to go through that whole litany of what Operation Planner shooting, but you heard evidence of all those shootings that were happening back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And they're trying to get a grasp of what is happening. And then we get to the 9 hours.
All right.
So what happened between February and June? A lot.
Okay.
Some back and forth shootings. Remember, Mr. Copeland went to jail for that violation of probation. He came out. He went to Henry County for a little while. And then on June 10th, he gets arrested for the gun that he had at the Dunbar Center back in May.
Okay.
And what's going on here? Mr. Copeland is.
Can I take a sip?
He's been getting shot at. His family been getting shot at. Homes getting shot up. Remember Kenneth Hurst at Kenny Boo's house?
It's gross.
His sister-in-law, his sister's child's father's home has been broken, getting shot at.
You like that?
And Shannon and Mr. Williams not talking to him. Remember
What does that mean, Brooklyn?
Shannon, and he thought Mr. Williams was trying to kill him. That's everything he talks about in this 9-hour interview. And let me say this. If some reason y'all want to watch all these interviews again, y'all can. You just gotta I don't want to sit there watching that. You can't. But in this interview, he is at the place where enough is enough. And I'm going to tell you about Mr. Copeland. I'm going to tell you about Mr. Garrison.
Okay.
Self-preservation.
Right. Right.
They're going to not talk about what they do.
And I really have no problem. I really have no problem with that. I have, again, what Woody did. I don't know what to call that. I don't know if it's snitching or not, but I strongly believe that if you get yourself into some mess, you get to decide how you get yourself out. So,
because they don't want to go to jail.
And ultimately, it's all part of the game. So,
but if telling on them is gonna get me out of jail, I'm gonna tell you what's
right, right,
because I don't want to go to jail. He's absolutely right.
Right.
But he's not gonna lie to the police about what they did.
Right.
He's gonna minimize what he's done.
True.
And that's what he did in this interview for 9 hours. He minimized his involvement in some things, but he told everything that they did. And if you don't believe what he told the police, well, let's listen to what he told his girlfriend on the
Right.
video call.
Right. I mean, the audio is terrible, but we're gonna ride through it. What is she saying? I'm trying to skip through this because I really cannot hear what the conversation is, but I also don't want to miss anything, so never mind. That's terrible. Terrible audio. Man, Greg always comes in clutch. My closed captions are on though. Yeah, they're on. I guess they're just not picking up unless you're referring to somebody else. I don't know. Let me know, but you always come in clutch. Thank you. Brooklyn's funny. Let me see. Brooklyn says, I practice law in Israel and New York, and it's so different. Certain courts around the world, judges wear wigs, and the reasoning for that is respect for the court. Today's people have no respect. Uh, are you saying that? Um, okay, what are you saying actually? And what do you do in Israel? What kind of law? What kind of law do you practice? And in New York as well. I'd like to know. Did you take the New York bar or did you wave in?
So in that call to his
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, about the attire. But then again, as far as criminal courts, I don't know, folks. Sometimes folks have to pick between food and other bills, and sometimes people are coming from work or going to work, and not everybody wears a suit. So, yeah, I mean, it's a bit more lax, I suppose. Yeah, it's a bit more relaxed.
girlfriend, to the love of his life at the time, he tell them, I need D to come in so they can believe, so they can know what I told them is true. They had to verify what I said.
Right, right.
So when he came in and said, I will finesse the police, I will lie to them.
Yeah.
No, because you wanted them to verify
Right.
what you told them. And we're going to talk about how the police and Mike Sprinkle was able to verify what he
Okay.
told them. Let's listen to this.
How do you like family law? Trusts, I don't really know much about. I mean, I had to do that. I had to study it for the bar, but I had no interest in it. As for family law, I don't know. We can have a discussion. We can have a discussion about that because that's probably the one area of the law that I will not get into. Not family law. I'd rather be in a criminal court than family law. But how long have you been doing that for?
June 16th, 2015 call.
In Brooklyn, is it both family law and trust? Is that for both? What is this? Is that for both in Israel and New York, or is it just New York? Yeah, family law is tough, 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 tough. I actually think we should have a topic around this. Let me see. Would Saturday be a good day? We can wing it though. I think that would make a great discussion. That would make a great discussion. And then Brooklyn and Greg and anybody else that's on here, I would like to know how did you get into this YSL trial? The reason why I'm asking is because I figured that most folks that have tuned into this trial have had some type of contacts with the criminal justice system. I don't mean necessarily been defendants. I mean, some folks have been defendants. I've also seen from the folks that come on here, some of them have family that is going through the criminal court system right now. And then you have people like me. And then let's see what else. So I basically want to know for everybody in here, how did you get into this case? As for me, I literally my algorithm. You do not want to see my algorithm. Like it's just my algorithm is crazy. It is really crazy. So Greg says, I know a lot about laptops, mainly safety online, all self-taught, emails, passwords, etc. And the antivirus is a scam. You don't need it. And the best antivirus program is Virus Total, free for Microsoft. Greg, I still need you to tell me how to install Ad Blocker because it did not work for me. I could only find, I mean, I'm using a MacBook, so I don't know if that makes a difference or not. Because the ones that I found were for Safari. Here I go with my random, but we're having a discussion, we're having a conversation. I found stuff with Safari, I installed those, and they didn't do anything. Okay, so Brooklyn says 20 plus years. That's fantastic. And then Brooklyn says Saturday is Shabbat. Okay. And then Amber says Happy Wednesday. Hey, Amber. I usually don't get on here early because I'm usually at work because it's what, 9:16. But I am now working today. And then most people checked in when Steele was held in contempt. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. All right. And then, Greg, this is what programmers use to find viruses in big companies' laptops. Vistas Total. Is it Vistas Total or is it Virus Total? I don't know. I cannot see. I don't have my glasses. And then it will tell you what it does, where it's from. All right. I'm not installing that though, Greg. All right. Come on. Okay. Virus Total. Okay. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. Okay. I need them to wrap this up. And then for Brooklyn, Brooklyn, if you are okay, so Brooklyn says I do mainly financial forensics. That's actually interesting. I have a friend. One of my very good friends is. I mean, she's not a lawyer though, but she does. She's a forensic accountant, which is fantastic. I'm very proud. What I was gonna say, we've heard from. Let me see. Okay, so I've heard from. Hold on. I think no, I think that was you that said okay, that was you that said most people checked in when Steele was held in contempt. So I guess I can assume that that's when you checked into this trial. Bless you. Yeah, it's almost time. Okay, we can go walk around if you want to walk around. Do you want to walk around? No, Mr. Bumpus. Mr. Bumpus.
So what is he saying there? Why you put my name in the song? He knows
All right.
because they all know who did it.
Okay.
They knew that it was Yak, Dua, Shannon, and Mark. And Kendrick is, I mean, Copeland is upset because he's like, why you put my name in the song? Put the ones who
Mm-hmm.
did it in the song. So they can stop targeting me.
All right. Let's see. What do we have here? All right, Greg says you use when you download a program and you check if it has a virus because if you open and download without checking, then you got it. Got it. That's why I should not be I should not be downloading anything on here. But thank you for that, Greg. I'll look into that. And then Nene says, Hi, I'm from Australia and came across it while receiving transfusion sitting in a hospital. I'm sorry. Hope you're feeling better. It was day 53 and absolutely can't miss it every night now. Okay, so oh my goodness, it's 1:20 a.m. That is crazy. That is crazy. Well, I hope you are feeling much better now. And yeah, this trial has been intriguing and entertaining. It's 9:20. Yeah, we still have an hour, Zeta. Yeah. So we just have to be patient, okay? All right.
Now, let's talk about his trial testimony.
And Nene, welcome. I do not believe I've seen you in the chat before, but thanks for tuning in.
You know, I actually do like rap. He's a contrary pop. And there is an artist, Young G. And he has a
Okay.
song called Put On.
Okay.
And I'm tell you what Copeland and Zachary did while they testified here was they put on for YSL.
Okay, so obviously I did not hear. What is something you'd find in your closet? Socks, shoes, something. So here's something that I did. Again, we jumped around. We jumped around a lot with these closing arguments. But what I liked, or at least what I thought, Hilton did very well here, was her saying that she likes rap music, because the defense, the attorneys tried to distance themselves from rap music, and she did not do that. So I like name a current pop star, Taylor Swift. So I like that about her closing. That way she does not alienate that way she does not alienate anybody in the jury. Where do I put the answer? Polar. Say polar bear. I'm parenting on the side. So that way she does not alienate the folks on the jury that actually do enjoy this type of music. I told you I enjoy drill music, okay?
They came in here acting all types of foolishness. And that's because they wanted to show their gang member friends, look, I'm still part of the conspiracy.
Marine.
I know I snitched on y'all back in
Oh no, this is
2015, but
difficult. Yeah.
I'm gonna try to help y'all out as best as I can. And that's what they did this entire time. They friends. They've been friends for a long
All right.
time.
So Brooklyn says, "What's one attorney that you follow, or whose cases I follow?" I will have to think about that. I do not know that I follow a specific attorney. I pretty much just follow cases. Yeah, that's what I typically do. I follow cases.
Long time.
And most of the cases I follow are really criminal law. Hold on. Here, type it in here. I'm parenting, you guys. I'm parenting. And let's see. Let's get back in here. Okay. And then I'll definitely look. I'll look into Alex. What exactly? Why do you follow him? What do you like about what he does? And there's Brooklyn. There's some folks from, who's this? They are from. These are attorneys out of New York. What's his name? Michael Popak, and I'm drawing a blank right now. I mean, you could check them out, but most of their content centers around political issues. But mostly, um, there's a link. They call it the intersection between law and politics. Hold on, Zeta. Um, all right, hold on. Let me play this.
They wear the same clothes. They lay together. What makes you think that Demekion, when he got to
Mm-hmm.
that car McDonald's and said, yo, let me tell y'all what they just did. Let me tell you what.
Okay, so Greg saying the thing with the songs they showed was what happened with the Mercs, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't think that I don't believe that the prosecution went up there and just, you know, played random songs. Um, I think, again, we had this discussion. I think it was on, was it Saturday or Sunday, where we had a discussion about opposing party statements. Okay. And as Hilton started off, these were not just songs, these were confessions. So I understand why they brought in the music or the songs that they did. And when it came to Red Light, listen, I heard Red Light, and in my opinion, hearing it for the first time, I was under the impression that that was about drinks. So yeah, these could be they definitely could be confessions or statements of opposing parties. And then Brooklyn said the latest high profile case was Alec Baldwin's. I followed Alec Baldwin's case, not in depth, but I mean I was just getting into it, and I was getting into it, and then it was dismissed. Or no, what? No, what happened? Right, it was dismissed with prejudice. So yeah, it was dismissed with
But
prejudice.
our told me our boy for the last couple of years just did. They just killed nothing because he killed wasn't
Mm.
around. He was sleeping at his girlfriend's house, so
Mm-hmm.
he missed the action.
Oop.
So you don't think when Demikion get in the car, he not gonna say, "Oh, let me tell you what Shannon just did, Joe."
Right.
This is they friends, and
Right.
they want you to believe that Demikion did not tell Coco.
I mean, let's think about it from this. Let's think about it from this context. I mean, when something happens in my regular life, I definitely tell the folks that are closest to me. So I think this is what was happening with these YSL defendants, and we can see that even from the wiretaps. When something happens, they do communicate. And then Greg says, "Are you going to follow the P Diddy case, or do you have another case you're interested in?" Right. For that case, I was going to wait for it to go to trial, but the difference is in federal court, they don't allow cameras. So we're going to have to rely either, we're basically going to have to rely on what the news is reporting, which is different from when we're able to actually see it for ourselves. As far as another case, I was going to wait for the, bless you, I was going to wait for the second YSL trial. I think, yeah, because that a lot has been, man, you could literally go on, what is this? You could go on Law and Crime, and they have a lot to pick from. Another case I'm actually interested in would be, without a doubt, I'm doing YNW Melly. That's no questions asked. I'm doing YNW Melly's retrial. Okay, I think when is that? Is it sometime next year, early next year? I want to say, is it February or is it April, or am I mixing that up with TK out of Texas? In any event, YNW Melly, I absolutely have to do. The other case that I'm interested in, though, is that Brian Koberger case. I think that man's getting convicted. Okay, I think he's getting convicted. Um, what's that? Yeah, we have 57 minutes. I think he's getting convicted, but that would be an interesting trial to watch. And from what I've seen so far, um, at least when I watched the hearing, it was a hearing where the his attorneys were basically asking for the penalty, the D penalty. I'm not going to say the word, the D penalty to be taken off the table, and I could tell that they had an uphill battle. The case itself is very difficult. It's difficult. Obviously, in this case, we don't have much of the DNA, but in that Koberger case, there's a DNA that ties him to the scene. So, yeah. Greg, what cases are you interested in? What do you want me to cover?
What happened? Moments after it happened, that don't even make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And we gonna ask you your common sense. This is and these weren't all taken to.
Brooklyn, I have a question for you. Do you wear do you wear bright colors or not? Because I hate bright colors. I hate bright colors in general. It's not my thing. But I was just asking in reference to these suits, because when I saw these suits, I just thought that is very bright. And then Greg says, "Do you know when the next YSL trial starts?" I believe it's December. I want to say the 12th or the 13th, but obviously they're going to have to go through voir dire, jury selection, and that's going to take up a lot of time. What do you mean by you're not fussed?
2015, because some of these are older pictures. They look super young.
Mm-hmm.
This is how long they've been friends.
Right. That's that's actually a good point. She makes a good point. She makes a good point.
Now it was interesting when Mr. Shard asked, "Why we show you this video from 2009?"
Okay.
Let me tell you why.
All right.
Because Quinder's been around for a long time. Quinn,
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate that. I appreciate you riding with me. But if you guys have suggestions of cases that you want me to cover, I will definitely do that. But as far as the Diddy stuff, I first want to wait for it to get to court, or if I'm touching it, it has to do with court filings or something like that. Other than that, I love gossip, but I don't want to gossip on that one.
Quindarius been around since 2009. So Quindarius knows about what's happening. See, we didn't
Uh
just
huh.
bring you stuff. I know some days you're like, why does the state bring me a bigger story? It's to show the evolution of their relationships.
Mm. Look
Quindarius
at
is a
these
little
two
bit
over
different
here.
than Copeland.
Mm-hmm.
Because see, he's been around Mr. Williams much longer than Copeland's ever been in the picture.
All right.
See, Mr. Copeland started coming around in 2014.
Okay.
Mr. Zachary's royalty is a little bit different. He's been around since '09.
Right.
So when Zachary tells you in his interview, Doug ain't know nothing about that murder,
Mm-hmm.
but his loyalty is a little different because he's been around.
Right.
2012. That's Mr. Zachary. You want to know why we showed you the video of them outside in the apartment complex? To show their association.
Okay.
Again, Zachary been around again for a long time. He real better than it.
Dang, he
He
looked like a
rocked for
baby.
YSL. So he has a motive to lie for Jeffrey Williams
Right.
that Kenneth doesn't have as much of.
Right.
In his interview. See, when Quindarius interviewed, he asked to come and speak to the police. And
Okay.
you're going to watch his interview because what both of them do in their interviews, both Copeland and Quindarius, and this is how you know they were telling the truth, they would
Mm-hmm.
correct the officers. If the
Mm.
officers were repeating something that was wrong,
That is a great point. That is a great point. And I still, Greg and I, hopefully we're still on the same wavelength. When these two were in those interrogation rooms snitching, they were telling the truth. That's exactly what they were doing. But I like the point that Hilton made here.
they would say, no, 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 I didn't say it like that.
I like the point you made here because had they just been, adding a little truth or whatever it is that Woody said, there'd be no need to correct the officers. So that's a brilliant point.
I said it like this. That's what they did. That's how you know that what they were trying to tell them, they were trying to be as truthful as they
Right.
could so that they would get it right. They made the police would get it right.
Right.
And again, same thing.
That's a great point.
He wanted to take one of the investigators out, all types of nonsense. But again, putting on for YSL.
What does that mean, Amber?
He's been around. They friends.
Mm-hmm.
They friends.
Yeah.
And
Your
why would
brothers.
they lie on their friends? If they knew to make up stuff and make up lies, why would you lie and say your friends committed a murder?
Right. Right.
That doesn't make sense.
Right.
Why lie?
Okay. So obviously this is before. Okay. I have a point to make, Brooklyn. So this is before Brooklyn. If you're still here, let me know in the chat. I actually have a point to make regarding style, regarding Simone's style. What am I saying? Simone makes a very good point here. These folks had no reason to lie about a murk that did not happen.
You could just say anybody made up the murder. If you were just lying, you don't want anybody to verify what you were saying, you could have said anybody committed the murder. But that's not what they did.
Oh, Amber, are you saying from the clouds a TV show? I don't watch TV shows. I don't watch TV shows. I usually just follow trials. If I'm not following trials, then I'm reading. If I'm not reading, then I might watch a documentary about, you know, I don't know, trials, about trials or things along those lines. But normally watch crime shows and trials. And you came across my feed. Okay, got it. Well, I'm glad I came across your feed, and I'm glad that you clicked. Hopefully, you like it here. Hopefully, you find a home here. And then let's see. Greg says, when you do a case, do you get much sleep, and how much time do you get to go over a case before it gets to trial? All right. I'm gonna let the announcers stop talking. Okay, I'm gonna wait for them to stop talking. Are they done? I'm just waiting for the announcer. What are they talking about? Okay. All right. So Greg wants to know, When you do cases, do you get much sleep, and how much time do you get to go over a case before it goes to court? Do you mean before it? Okay, I need you to elaborate what you mean before it goes to court. Do you mean before it goes to trial, or just before a? I guess you just want the process. Is that what you're asking? If that's what you're asking, then I'm going to answer it. Okay, and if I'm not answering your question, you can let me know. Um, I'll put it this way. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Because obviously every jurisdiction has been different, but I'll say that my second to last stint as a public defender, that is probably when I got the least amount of sleep. Generally, I get about, on average, I get about 5 hours of sleep, which I'm used to. I'm used to it. I've been working on 5 hours of sleep for a very long time, so I'm used to it. Okay, but there have been times. The craziest trial prep I have ever done was, what year was that? I'm just thinking of the jurisdiction. It's not last year, so it has to have been the year before. And I worked on that case for an extended period of time, and we always knew the case was going to go to trial because it was a bogus charge. I did not believe that my client engaged in the conduct that she was accused of. And from the very beginning, she kept saying that she did not do this. And it was going to be a good trial. So I prepped the trial. And this is the difference. It depends on the jurisdiction. Some jurisdictions you work independently, other jurisdictions you work with co counsel. But in this jurisdiction that I was in, everybody worked independently just because we were short staffed. That's it. I stayed up until 4 a.m. to finalize my opening and closing because I had all my cards laid out. I have my cross examination. I had everything prepped. So I stayed up until sometime until 4. I went to bed, woke up around probably 6:30. Did not get much sleep. I was ready to go to court and, action. When we got to court, the district attorney's office decided to drop the charges because they realized that their witnesses were not credible because they pretty much lied. Okay. Um, and the reason why I knew they lied, it was some type of conflict, folks that are related sometimes. So one of the my client's sibling basically brought bogus charges related to her minor children in order to find a way to kick her sister out of the house. So the charges from the very beginning were bogus. And in that case, actually, one of my witnesses, believe it or not, one of my witnesses that I was going to put on was a registered SA, if you know what that means. So that would have been very tricky. But the way we were going to go around that was that we had a priest that basically was their alibi. We had a priest that, would have vouched for them. And I think that would have cured the fact that he committed some stuff in the past and is now a registered SA. And then as far as from start to finish, um, when I was a when I was a prosecutor, we got the dockets directly from law enforcement, and then I'd go over it, figure out if there's actually a case or not, and then I'd basically start the case, and the person would have to go to appear in court for a first appearance, and then the case would just go through the motions. As a public defender, though, as soon as so it's the opposite of that. Once somebody goes to court, they are arraigned, advised of their rights. They decide they want a public defender. Then their case would go through the clerks. It would be assigned to one of the public defenders, and if it came to me, I'd start reading. I'd start reading the case immediately. I'd start reading, know what's missing, know where the holes are, talk to the client, know what's next. Okay. And then, okay, hopefully I've answered your question, Greg. If not, you can definitely ask follow-ups. And then, Brooklyn, what's your input on the Menendez brothers? I've followed that case for a significant amount of time. I thought that, if I remember correctly, I believe the attorneys. Okay, here's the thing. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes the attorneys don't make an argument, but I cannot remember in this case if the attorneys were barred from, making or at least arguing about the abuse that they suffered as children at the hands of their parents. Um, One thing you'll hear from me, Brooklyn, I don't believe in lengthy sentences. I just don't. I think there comes a point where folks pay their debt to society and they should be allowed to, with a few exceptions. I think eventually they should be allowed to move on with their lives. But incarcerating somebody for their natural lives, I don't agree with that. And then Amber says, you asked about how we came across your channel, watching from the clouds, like in the bushes. I watched your live but didn't comment. Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're basically there's another term for that. I don't know. It escaped me. It's gonna come to me later. I could be working or doing house stuff. Okay, well, welcome, welcome, welcome. Brooklyn said December 12th. Yeah, I remember it being. I thought it was the 13th or something. So that's correct, December 12th. And then have you defended defendants knowing they're guilty? I have, but it is not something I consider. It's not something I think of. It is not something I think of. So, as a public defender, I was never concerned with whether um, a defendant engaged in the conduct that they were accused of or not. Because my principle was this: if the prosecution is going to get a conviction, if they're going to convict this person, then they're going to have to work for it. That has always been my principle because, again, you'll hear from me, I hate plea dealing. They're coercive, but they also relieve the prosecution of their burden, which I don't agree with because down the line, these folks are going to end up with a rap sheet of convictions that the prosecution never proved. And they're based on these rap sheets, they are going to get buried for cases the prosecution never proved beyond a reasonable doubt. And again, we distinguish between factual truth and substantive truth. Factual truth is what actually happens, but that is not what criminal law is concerned with. Criminal law is concerned with what can a prosecutor prove beyond a reasonable doubt within the bounds or the limits of the law, within the rules of evidence, within criminal procedure. An example of this. Let me think of an example quickly. I'm trying to find an example that's related to this case. We have 30 minutes, okay? We have 30 minutes and then we'll be boarding. So I'm trying to think of an example. Oh, here. Yeah. So here's a perfect example. If 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 we go by if we go by let's take yak for example, okay? So yak was found in a Jeffrey Williams home, and they were surrounded by all these illicit subs. What's that? Yeah, you can sit on the floor. My daughter had to ask because I'm a germaphobe. I hate dirt. I hate dirt. Anyways, so if we go back to the YSL trial and we look at the charges that were brought against Yak that stem from his presence at, or at least he was not, I mean, he was at the house, he was not in the house. That highlights the difference. If we look at the three counts that were dismissed by the judge, okay? The judge dismissed this because he did not think that, hold on. Again, there's no indication that who's this Yak was actually in possession of the it was the machine gun. There were two other I don't remember. Let me see if I can find what the two other objects were. One moment. Hold on. Trying to decide what I'm gonna type in this search bar. mm, Hold on. And Rose, if you're watching, literally every time I say hold on now, it reminds me of you. um Okay. So if we go back to the basics of a directed verdict. So a directed verdict is basically that no reasonable jury could reach a different conclusion. No reasonable jury could possibly convict him um, of those charges, right? And the way that I simplified was that if you're going to succeed on a motion for a directed verdict, it means that you should not have been charged to begin with. Okay, so in that context, though, think about it this way: I do not question. There's no question that Yak. I'm not saying that he possessed all the um, objects or the items that were found in Jeffrey's house. But given the circumstances, I do not even doubt that they were working together. I do not doubt that they were dealing together. But under the premise or the substantive law, it does not allow for him to, or at least for those three counts to continue as far as Yak is concerned. So that is the distinction. That is the distinction between factual truth and substantive truth. And that's what's exciting to me when it comes to criminal cases, because you get to be creative, you get to make arguments, and at the end of the day, it's never really about factual truth. And it, if it was ever about factual truth, okay, folks would not be wrongfully incarcerated. And then Amber asks, "Have I watched the Adnan Saeed? Is this the guy?" Oh, no, 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 no. The other guy, that was the pharmaceutical guy. That was the pharmaceutical guy. Mm, Adnan Saeed. Because with that name, I'm associating with either the pharmaceutical guy or the tech guy. So obviously, I don't know who that is. I'll have to look him up. Let me see. Let me see. Adnan Saeed. No, I do not know this person. Nope, nope, nope. I do not. I do not know him, but I'll take a look into his case. Wait, was this on the news? Okay, I actually saw this briefly on the news because, as I told you, my algorithm is out of whack. Every time they see something related to America, whatever, they send it to me. So, okay, I will definitely look into that, and we can have a discussion, Amber, if you're interested. And then Greg says, "I find it unbelievable that Smollett's charges were dropped, and I feel Obama got those charges dropped." Listen, and that again is substantive. We're actually going to take a deeper dive into Jesse. I don't know when we're going to do it. Maybe I can do. Let me just let this person talk. I'm going to let the announcer talk. Okay, I think they're done. So again, Greg, that is what I mean by substantive truth. It's not about factual truth; it's substantive truth. And Jesse's charges were dropped under the same circumstances that what's his name? I believe it's Bill Cosby, under the same circumstances of that his charges, not his charges, his conviction was overturned. So again, that's a difference. Criminal law, not concerned with factual truth. All right, I love these questions. I love these questions. I love when you guys are interactive. All right, let's get in here.
So
I have about another 30 minutes or so, and then it'll be time for me to board. But I will be back. I'll be back on live, and that will be, I said, 11 p.m. Eastern time. 11 p.m. Eastern time. So that's going to be 10 p.m. Central, if I'm not mistaken.
there were a lot of different witnesses.
And has anybody tuned into the court proceedings today? Is anything happening? Are we missing anything, or is it just jury deliberations? And I mean, I can look into that. I'll look into that now.
That came in about Donovan Thompson murder, but we're going to talk specifically about these individuals. Investigator Thorpe, he was the original detective on the case. He took out those arrest warrants in October, and that was after talking to an individual by the name of Spencer Wright. He then turned his file over uh, to Mike Springer. Then we have both Dennis and Gaither. They were both just because of the back and forth that they were investigating, just ended up talking a lot about the murder with all these different individuals. And then you have Kenneth Copeland and Quindarius Gay. And then what Mike Springer does, when he got the file, he reviewed it, and the first thing he did was realize that Spencer Wright was lying.
Okay.
And said, okay, I have to get rid of this information.
Okay.
And it was something that Mr. Shard said, which I found interesting.
Okay.
Mr. Shard said that Nicholas Robinson, aka Spencer Wright, is an example uh, individuals who will say anything to gouge you.
All right, thanks, Greg. And then for Brooklyn, Brooklyn says, in a way, I hate family law. In criminal, you get a guilty or not guilty verdict, and it's satisfying. Family law can go until the kids are emancipated. For me, I think the reason why I have not, and I'm not saying I won't ever do it, because I have. There have been circumstances where we have practiced areas of the law that I thought I never would, because I hate administrative law, but I've done that on two separate occasions. So sometimes it just happens. But I think that family law is way too involved, and the people or the parties they're very passionate about their interests, and not cooler heads don't always prevail. And usually you're talking about people's kids and marital issues. So I understand why it is the way it is, but ugh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the difference between Nicholas
And I'll say this: as much as I actually do enjoy watching these criminal trials, and as much as I enjoyed being a public defender and a prosecutor, criminal work, be it defense or prosecution, is really trauma work, because you do take on a lot of these folks' traumas. You do. Uh, Even for example, if we go back to the picture of Shannon and Shard hugging, okay, there are moments where attorneys get close to their clients, and at the end of the day, when that guilty verdict comes down, it is heartbreaking, and you're not always able to move forward. But sometimes you have to move forward because there are other cases and other people that are in similar situations that need to be represented. But it is trauma work. I remember there's a case that I worked on. Ooh, that was a long time ago. Maybe 2017. Yeah, I think this was around 2017. And every day, this kid was on a trial for Merck. Okay, so Greg, this goes back to one of your questions, or one of your earlier questions, um, uh, about whether I've defended folks knowing that they're guilty. W- with this case, there was no question that he did what he was accused of, but we were still putting on a fight. We were still investigating. We're still doing everything we could. And that's because our job is not to assist the prosecution. Our job is to pretty much uphold the Constitution and make sure that if the prosecution is going to get a conviction, it's something they'd work for. But in any event, during this trial, leading up to the trial, as I went to work every day, I cried. I literally cried every single day on my way to work. And I associate that kid's case with Nas Just a Moment. I listened to that song every single day. And then eventually he decided to enter a guilty plea instead. He did not want to go to trial. He did not want to, and this was like on the eve of trial. He did not want to risk, you know, life imprisonment. But sometimes you do get attached to the clients, and when verdicts come down, it's not always easy. And then Brooklyn said that picture made me shed a tear. It could be it's his last day, not in prison. I don't know. Um, I don't know. Just from a Here's the thing: if you are the accused, you are on the losing end. Let's take it that way. As an accused, you are on the losing end. It's not every day that everybody gets to be O.J. Simpson. Okay, a lot of folks do in fact get convicted. In this case, I have concerns about man, I've gone over conspiracy. I discussed conspiracy at length this past weekend, and that is a very strong tool for the prosecution to use. So I would not be surprised if the jury came down with a conviction on the conspiracy to commit RICO. As far as felony in possession, I do not question. The only way they're not returning guilty verdicts on those is if it's jury nullification. But the prosecution has presented sufficient evidence to meet their burden, even exceed their burden. And then what are the other charges? As far as the gang activity, that I'm not sure. I'm not sure. when it comes to Yak, though, right? I think Yak gets convicted on. Yak will only get convicted if Yak gets convicted, then it's gone. But he's also charged for the RICO. As far as Nuts Merc, I'm not sure about that one. I'll have to see what Simone has to say. I'm not sure about that one. But for drinks, I totally believe that SB did that. And the reason again, we cannot focus on the muzzle flash because you don't see muzzle flash in the car that the prosecution is saying that did the murder. You don't see it either in the vehicle that Shard is saying did the murder. But it's inconceivable to me, right? If you have if you have SB's car leading and you have what is the other Nicholson's car next to him, okay, with SB in the middle. It does not make sense for Nickel to be the one that's doing the shooting. That does not make sense. And as far as SB is concerned, it does not make sense for was it Garlington that was next to him? It does not make sense for him to basically be, pulling the trigger over SB. That does not make sense. To me, the only thing that makes sense in here is that SB is the one that, in fact, did that. And then Brooklyn says, wait, did I read that? Okay. Brooklyn says, and lawyers and clients can develop. That is true. That is very, very true. We can definitely develop Stockholm syndrome. That is a fact. All right, let's get in here.
Robinson and Quindarius and
But I love these questions that you guys have been, um, posting in the chat.
Kenneth Copeland is that Mr. Sprinkle couldn't verify what Nicholas Robinson said,
Okay.
but he was able to verify what Quindarius and what Kenneth Copeland said.
Mm.
So
That
this
is that is very important here. I don't remember who it was. Somebody in the chat, I believe, was it this week or last week? I don't know. Somebody said they thought that Sprinkle was a credible witness, and that's what I mean. Viverito, I would like to believe that she has testified in a lot of cases. Um, I do not like the way she handled herself. I think she basically shot her own credibility by being so defensive. She should have just answered the questions because there's redirect. I do not doubt that. Was it Simone? I think it was Simone that was directing her. I do not doubt that Simone would have been capable of redirecting her accordingly. So Greg says, hold on. Greg says, oh, where is it? Why is it not popping up? I don't know. Something happened.
Mike Sprinkle corroborated.
Let me see if I can pull it up now. Okay, something's wrong with my mouse. But Greg says if this case was in the UK, everything would come out and lawyers couldn't get potential evidence blocked or hidden. Explain that for me. Explain that. Is the process different? Because I thought the UK, I thought the process was adversarial as well. But then again, the rules of evidence might be different, and criminal procedure might be different. And I think in the can you guys see me? Can you hear me? I don't know if somebody can see me or hear me. Please let me know because I am. Oh, I think you can definitely see me. Well, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with my screen, but we are just going to we are just going to move on. Okay. Um, I'm at the airport. I have another 30 minutes or so before I'm out of here. But what I was saying is, Greg, from as far as the UK is concerned, I believe there is. Thank you, Brooklyn. There's a. Thank you, Greg. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to mess with it because if I mess with it, yeah, I just don't want to mess with anything because I don't want the stream to cut. Um, in the UK, I don't know, Greg, if you're in the UK or not, but I think there was a prince. All these laws are really from. Okay, I'm gonna let them finish talking. Waiting for the announcer to finish talking. I'm just waiting. Okay, so all these laws that most countries have, because I mean we can go back to the philosophy. That would actually be interesting. That would be interesting. We can go back to legal philosophy and how these different jurisprudences came about. But a number, because I think there was French. There was French. Let me just go back. I'm going back like 10, 12 years here. A French. There are different philosophies. We can get we can definitely get into that. But what I remember an English doctrine. By English, I mean England. I don't know if that applies to all of the United Kingdom or not. But there was, I think it's called the common purpose. Yeah, I think it's the common purpose doctrine, which is almost similar. Let me look it up. It's almost similar to. It's not really conspiracy. Conspiracy is different. Common purpose doctrine. I don't know if they still use it, but it's a doctrine that I remember. I think this is in the UK or is it England? I don't know. Let me look it up. England. I don't know. They're just no. Actually, no. I was right because I thought I'm actually right because I thought I'm right. Let's just say I'm right. Let me get there. Let me get there. So this is, man, I have great memory because I'm going back years. Okay, let me share. Let me share my screen. I'm just gonna share the different. Why is it not up here? Okay, I don't know why. Why can I not share? Can I not share a Google Chrome page? I don't know. All right. So I'll let it go. I'll just read. Basically, they're saying that the doctrine of common purpose, also known as joint enterprise, is a legal doctrine in English law that holds participants in a criminal enterprise equally responsible for all reasonable results of that enterprise. So, yeah, so that's what I figured. I figured that common purpose can either be equated to RICO or maybe even conspiracy. So yeah, that's a random fun fact. I say random things in here a lot. So okay, let's get back to this. Let us get back to this.
Kenneth Copeland and Cordelia said, emphatically, yes. So let's talk about the activity before the murder. And
Okay.
some of these are the videos, but there was no dispute about the Lakewood shooting and Club Crucial.
How long do you guys think jury deliberations are going to take in this case? I think a month. I mean, I've gone back and forth. First, I said a month, and I came back, and I believe on Monday I said I did not put a time on it, but I did not think it was. I thought it was going to be less than a month, but as of yesterday, I'm back to a month.
And what you have in both of those interviews is that both Copeland and Zachary actually sat and talked about those shootings. I'm not going to play the video for you, just in an abundance of time, but we know that those two things at least were not.
And Jasmine, um, I don't know if Jasmine is. Hey, old bag. I don't know if Jasmine is in here, but if Jasmine, you are in here, that little spiel on the common purpose doctrine is what is this? It is a little Easter egg that I've planted that could that kind of brings you closer to determining my identity, or at least part of where I'm from. All right. Thank you, old
So
bag.
let's talk about the day of and the days after the murder. So what did Copeland tell you about?
Brooklyn, what is IPP? Oh, you're referring to Greg because I was going to read. Okay, so Greg says there's a sentence in the UK that came out in 2012 where, for example, a person stole a phone. There got a IPP sentence where they were given 2 years, and 20 to 30 years later, they are still in prison. No, I've not heard about that. What does that mean? Yeah, I'd like to know. I'd like to know as well.
That one?
Okay, so Greg said the law was changed in 2016, but those sentences are still there. IPP means on license for life, and if recalled, you never get out. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't believe in those type of sentences. I just don't. I think I think that's cruel. I think that's cruel punishment, but obviously the Supreme Court doesn't agree with me. I think what cruel and unusual punishment. What's going on? I don't know what he's
What did the
saying.
phone records tell you? I know that's kind of small, but you'll have the phone records in the back.
Okay.
Between 6:37 and 7:26, Copeland's phone was in the area of his girlfriend's house, right?
Okay.
That's who are Copeland's girlfriend's house. His phone was in that area. And that's
Okay.
6:37 and 7:26. If
Okay.
you can recall, the 911 call for the murder came in at 7:22.
All right.
7:26, he is still at his girlfriend's house
Okay.
after the murder. So this
Okay.
notion, when they say, well, Kenneth Copeland did it, I know
Got
somebody
it.
who could have done it. Well, it wasn't Kenneth
Presto. Fantastic, fantastic. I think, listen, I'm watching a lot of this for the first time because prior to this, I was just with a mess. Hilton did a fantastic job. She did a fantastic job. Greg, I'm glad you brought it to my attention because other folks did not think she was brilliant, but she did a fantastic job. Let's see, Brooklyn for a phone or, all right, people. What? Okay, I'm gonna have to look into that. Olbeck says, I can't decide how long the jury will take. I go back and forth to, yeah, it's definitely one of those cases. There's a lot of uncertainty. But then again, a mistrial is another possibility. Because if we're struggling with this, there's no doubt that the jury is going to struggle with the facts of this case as well.
the person who did it is Stillwell, yet, Nard,
Yeah.
and Duane. Because Kenneth Copeland was at his girlfriend's house at 7:26. Then he says he went to the green store.
Mm-hmm. You tired? Thanks, Jasmine. I'm gonna tune in now. I'm gonna tune in now. I am tuning in now. Do you know why they're in the courtroom? All right, let's go. Okay. All right. So they're asking to see videos. Let me see. Is there actually audio on this? All right. Let me switch over. Thanks, Big Cuzzo, and good morning to you. All right. Let's share. Dang, did Love shave her hair off? Okay. What I know, Jasmine, did they ask a specific question or did they just ask to see the video? Was it a specific question? Because that's usually a hint as to what the fight might be over. All right, let's see what's going on. And this chat is live. They're still talking about that watch. All right, come on, what happened? All right, come on, come on, come on. Haha, somebody said love got cut with clippers. Okay, right. The jury does leave at 3 p.m. Um, excuse me. Let's see, who's that? Where? This person over here, Floyd? Is this who you're referring to, old bag? Is it this? Let me put my cursor back. Is it this person over here? If that's who you're asking about, that is ADA Floyd. From what I've gleaned, is that he is the RICO expert in the Fulton County DA's office. And when they were going over, when they're trying to formulate the jury charges, he was basically assisting them. And what are they saying? And he's one of the folks that argued some case or some case law in Atlanta, and I believe, or in Fulton County, and I believe they won, or the DA's office won that case. So he was basically there to help them navigate the RICO web. I don't know. They have 11,000 votes. I have no idea. I don't even know how to go on that one. You're welcome. Jasmine, do you want to get up here? I have like 15 minutes or so before it's time to board. Do you want to get up here real quick or no? I'm going to put the link in here, and whoever wants to join, they can definitely do that. All right, this is just sidebar. All right, come on. I want to hear. I want to hear him. It's my understanding that it's the gas station video. So it's a gas station video. I mean, there are many gas station, or at least there are two gas station video. I believe this is the gas station video that relates to drinks. Yeah, I think it's the one that relates to drinks. All right, what are they gonna say?
We're gonna try that again.
All right. Yeah. Is this no, no, no? I think this is not actually. Isn't this the nut? Now I'm just confused. Cause I think right. Cause I think that
Your Honor, for the
uh,
record, we're on camera 10
I
at
think drinks was
18:44:31.
BP. This looks like a shell or something. Yeah, Obeg. I followed the Karen Reed trial, and it was a mess. They were in court yesterday, though. They had motions in court yesterday. I never followed up with that, so I guess I'll take a look at that, and we can briefly talk about it tonight.
We're not sure exactly which getting into the car you meant, so we're just trying to show all of them for
Okay.
y'all, okay?
That's the thing. I wanted to know what the question is. Obeg, did you follow Karen Reed or no?
Good morning, welcome to American Airlines Flight 1167 with service to Please stay clear of the boarding lanes until we call your in or room
Yeah, that
number.
was a crazy.
When the group has been called,
That was
you
a
are
crazy
welcome
trial.
to join the line to board. You are permitted carrying on for one overhead bin and a small personal item that fits under your seat. Please consolidate to only two items and be certain that the bag extender exists.
Yeah, this is nut.
Once again, please do not get in the line unless you hear your group number.
This is
Do
nut.
not join the line. Thank you.
So this makes me wonder if they're going in chronological order as far as the counts are concerned. Because nut, I believe, isn't that the second count? Let's see, are they done? Yeah, that's what they're I think they're trying to figure out who got into which car. That's the argument here. As for nut, I don't know. I don't know that I've seen I don't know that I had seen I don't know if I've seen enough evidence as it relates to nut, so yeah, we're gonna have to. I mean, we're looking at it right now. Mm.
So, Your Honor, at this point, for the record, we're going to stop it and stop sharing and then fast forward to the next point that he gets into the car.
Who gets into what car?
We're stopping at 1848
Are they saying
17.
is that Yak? I mean, that person is tall enough. So, so is the jury watching this in the courtroom? Can they not take it back to the jury room? I believe they are watching this in the courtroom. Um, as far as the instructions from yesterday, I recall there were certain things that, as far as the discussions are concerned, there were certain things they were allowed to take back with them. As far as the videos are concerned, it depends on whether they have the capability to play videos or not.
Customer pay is Gucci. If you're in the boarding area, see me at the podium for no orders.
Well, you're going to Austin, ladies and gentlemen, this is completely full of money. That being said, like we see as high as 8 or 9. Or you have a larger bag that you know will not fit the stock box to the right at the podium.
And here goes all these snakes and green hearts again.
We see here that this is one of our small.
And then when typically when the jury is deliberating, let me let the announcer stop. Let me just let this play.
We're fast forwarding now to 19:15:25 on camera 10.
Okay.
So that was the second time he got in the car. Now we're going to fast forward to
Okay.
the next time he gets in the car. Which will be at 19:15:52. We're fast forwarding to that.
Typically, when jurors ask specific questions, it signals what they're disputing about. So in this case, I'm assuming there's a dispute about whether Yak actually gets into the car or not. Man, that outfit is crazy. That outfit is something else.
All right, does that satisfy what y'all wanted to see on
No,
that?
that's not the last time he got in
Okay,
the
all
car.
right, sorry,
We're fast forwarding.
sorry. Thought y'all said it 3 times.
So we're now
My bad.
fast forwarding to 19,
That goat's ready.
17, and 10.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that old bag. We discussed a bit about that or the jury makeup earlier this morning. I'm just waiting for Love to finish and then I'll make my point. Or what is your sense? Let me ask you this. What is your sense of the jury makeup? What does that tell you?
Those are the times that he,
Does that satisfy what y'all wanted to see? Y'all are nodding yes. Okay, all right. Now we'll move
Okay.
on to the barbershop video.
Ooh. All right.
And for the record, it's 292 Yankee Alpha, and we're starting at 8 minutes and 22 seconds of that exhibit.
All right. Okay. Okay, so most folks in the jury are retired. That means they're older. That's going to tell us something. Okay, let's see. Let's see what's happening here. Yeah, I think the way they are going about it is one count at a time. Pick that up, Zeta. Go pick the headband up. Pick that stuff up, please. Thank you. All right, get the tickets. Clean that up, please. Clean that up. You cannot leave it like that. And then we're gonna find a trash can to throw it in. Yeah, clean up all that stuff, please. Put it together. We're throwing it away. We need to go. I'm actually
Yeah.
not sure. I think I've seen
May
that.
you inquire if there's any more of this video. I'm stopping for the record at 9 minutes and 14 seconds.
All right, does that satisfy what y'all wanted to see on that? Or is there
What do they
a
wanna see?
different angle or more that you want to see? That's good. Okay, that's what they
Okay.
wanted to see. All right, moving on.
I mean, that did not
Sorry.
really show much.
Good, okay. All right, moving on to the questions. Mr. Weinstein said,
Okay.
"We watch." However, remember that nothing that the attorneys say is evidence.
Right. I've
All
said
right,
that
moving on
before.
to the next
I've said that
couple of
before.
questions.
Greg, did you follow the Karen Reed trial? Yeah, exactly. Whatever the attorneys say, that is not evidence. So, and his whole thing
All
about
right,
the
on
watch.
count 58, possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, the state must prove that Mr. Kendrick knowingly and intentionally participated in or helped in possessing marijuana, intending to unlawfully deliver or sell it. Does that cover what y'all are asking with regard to that one?
Uh huh.
Yes, okay, all right. Moving on to whether you need to group counts 57, 58, and 61 individually or separately. You will need to consider
Yeah.
them individually and reach
Yeah.
a verdict as to
Right.
each of them separately,
Right.
but possession of marijuana with intent to distribute would need to be proven for count 58, count 61, and count 57.
Can you please
Does
check that I'm
that
okay?
cover
We
what
don't want
y'all
to carry
wanted
too many
to?
things.
Okay. All right, then I will excuse y'all to continue deliberations. Thank you.
Okay. All right, folks. I will be back 11 p.m. Eastern Time. 11 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll have a further discussion, and then obviously I want to finish the state's closing, and I also want to touch base on the jury instructions. Thank you all for tuning in with me this morning. It was fantastic hanging out. I love the conversation. I love the back and forth. That was exciting. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you later.